Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a massive historical mystery. How exactly did a nomadic tribe from the harsh, freezing steppes of Central Asia transform into an absolute superpower? And honestly, more importantly, how did they permanently change the course of history and reshape the Islamic world as we know it today? It's wild to think about, but before the mighty Ottomans and way before the Mongols completely shook the world's foundations, there was this massive world-altering force that history just sort of glosses over. Their warriors rode like the wind, their armies conquered these sprawling kingdoms, and their rulers fundamentally altered the destiny of nations. So, the big central question for us today is, who actually reshaped the Islamic world during this really critical era? Well, stick around because by the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly why this relatively unknown group set the stage for centuries to come. All right, let's jump right into Chapter 1, Nomads of the Steppe. Picture this. Thousands of years ago, Turkic tribes are wandering the unforgiving grasslands of Central Asia. It was a brutal existence. But out of these harsh conditions emerges this highly respected leader named Seljuk Beg. Under his guidance, his descendants embraced Islam and started marching west. It's pretty fascinating because nobody at the time could have predicted that these wandering nomads were about to challenge the greatest empires on earth. Just look at the speed of this evolution. We're going from ancient tribes literally just surviving in the steppes to stepping directly onto the world stage in a matter of decades. They hit these massive historical milestones in 1055 and 1071. Let's see how that momentum actually builds up. And that brings us right to Chapter 2, Protectors of the Caliphate. Okay, so the year is 1055. Baghdad stands at the very center of the Islamic world, but the Abbasid Caliph is in trouble and desperately needs protection. So, Sultan Tughril Beg answers the call. Now, usually in history, this is the part where the conqueror sacks the glorious city, right? But nope. He enters peacefully. He takes control as the official protector of the Caliph, which is a massive power shift that actually preserved the city's greatness instead of destroying it. But their absolute biggest test was still waiting for them. Let's get into Chapter 3, the Battle of Manzikert. Just 16 years after securing Baghdad, they come face to face with the mighty Byzantine Empire. And there's this incredible moment. Sultan Alp Arslan is standing before his vastly outnumbered soldiers, and he's wearing a stark white robe. He looks at them and declares, "If I die today, this robe will become my burial shroud." Talk about giving you chills, right? That level of absolute conviction fueled his men to a stunning, almost unbelievable victory. And this right here is exactly why the Seljuks changed history. Because of that insane victory at Manzikert, the gates of Anatolia were opened forever. This wasn't just a military win, it was a geographic earthquake. It fundamentally changed and redrew the map of the world. Riding high on that victory, we enter Chapter 4, the Golden Age. Talk about a historic glow-up from their unforgiving nomadic beginnings. Under Sultan Malik Shah, trade is just flourishing everywhere, and magnificent new cities are literally rising from the ground. They're building these great academies for scientists and poets. You've got the legendary statesman Nizam al-Mulk founding the famous Nizamiya schools. The Seljuks had literally transformed from wandering warriors into one of the wealthiest, most sophisticated civilizations on the entire planet. But history has a funny way of checking unchecked greatness. That brings us to Chapter 5, the beginning of the end. So during the reign of Sultan Malik Shah, you have this incredible unity, stability, and wealth. But in 1092, he dies, and everything falls apart. Without a strong ruler at the helm, princes literally start fighting their own brothers. Generals are betraying their closest allies. The exact same empire that just conquered the world began rapidly tearing itself apart from the inside out. And right when they are at their absolute most vulnerable and divided, a historical disaster strikes. The First Crusade arrives. European armies are marching directly toward the Holy Land. The Seljuks, who had once terrified enemies with their ironclad unity, were now entirely unprepared to mount any sort of proper resistance. So their internal division literally changed the course of the Crusades. Which leads us to our final chapter, Chapter 6, the Seljuk Legacy. Over the next century, it was just a cascading disaster. They faced relentless attacks from powerful neighbors in literally every direction. And then came the final nail in the coffin, the arrival of the Mongols. Under the weight of all these massive external forces, the Great Seljuk Empire officially just disappears from the map. But wait, here is the ultimate twist. Their story wasn't actually over. While the Great Empire fell, a single Seljuk successor state somehow managed to survive in Anatolia. And from those exact lands, a brand new power eventually rose, the Ottoman Empire. So the Seljuks themselves were gone, yeah, but their legacy directly birthed an empire that went on to shape global history for the next 600 years. That right there is exactly why they matter. So what is the crucial takeaway from this explainer? It's that empires rise and empires fall, but some leave footprints so deep that history can literally never erase them. The Seljuk Empire went from wandering underdogs to a superpower that permanently changed the fate of nations. They might be a forgotten civilization to some, but their echoes are absolutely still shaping our world today. I really hope this explainer helped you grasp just how unbelievably influential the Seljuks really were. Because history never truly dies, it just waits to be remembered. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Which forgotten empire should we explore next? Let me know, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.